up guys, Julie Brewer here, and I am back with another episode in the Breaking the Binge series. The purpose of this series is to help you or someone you know who's going through binge eating disorder help overcome those demons and get out of that really dark spot, because I was in your place just a couple years ago and it is possible to get out, and I want you to feel like you have a friend through it, because I wish I had somebody during those darkest times of my life. So in my last video I talked about the difference between overeating and binging and what classifies or differentiates the two, because essentially they're the same thing. You're eating a lot of food in both situations, but what's the difference is that when you are binging or have that disordered mentality, you feel guilty, you feel shameful, you can't let it go. Whereas the person who is just overeating, like on Thanksgiving or after a college party or something like that, can kind of just wake up the next day and be like, oh, I ate a lot of pizza, and then not think about it again. So today I'm going to share with you some tips on how to get rid of that shame, that negativity, that guilt that just surrounds that binge mentality. So we've all been there, right? If you're watching this video and you're still watching at this point, it's probably because you've had some sort of binge eating tendencies in the past. So imagine how you feel when you wake up in the morning, you've eaten a lot the night before, and I remember I would wake up stupid early at like 5 a.m. on days after the night I would binge and feel like I needed to take a spin class or do cardio or spend hours at the gym, or some people purge, some people just do crazy things in order to negate the effects of overeating. So what I'm going to help you do is kind of work through the things that helped me just get over the guilt and shame and let it go. So first of all, you have to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. But it's important to understand that you are not alone in this. There are so many people out there who overeat on a daily basis, and I'm not saying that to make you feel better or like you should feel okay because there are other people overeating too, but from an evolutionary perspective, if you're eating super clean all day or you're eating super restricted calories, your body is hardwired to want to eat all of the food. So if you think back to the ancestral days when we were hunters and gatherers, what do? We would eat massive quantities of food because we were fearful that we would not get our next meal. So our brains are still hardwired in that way. When you deprive yourself so much by eating super clean foods and only eating strictly clean and eating like 900 calories a day or less, or you just don't eat enough in general, no matter what kind of food you're eating, of course, the second you get around food, you are going to be tempted to overeat. So from a biological perspective, take a little bit of that blame off of yourself, because it is not your fault. Understanding that it's not your fault that you're binging is so liberating. Like when I heard that and I realized that, I was like, wow, so I'm not a weirdo. Like I'm not this psychotic person, because that's the thing too. Like I knew logically what I was doing I didn't want to do anymore, and that it was wrong or I felt guilty or shameful for it, but at the same time I couldn't stop doing it. So knowing that it's deep-seated in me as a human because of my brain and how it's wired and the hunting and gathering and eating a bunch of food at once because your body's scared that it's not going to get food again, I was like, that makes sense. So then whenever I binged, that was my period of like eating all the food because my body was scared that it wasn't going to get food anymore, because what did I do? I restricted my calories for so long after that. So the first thing would be letting it go, letting go of that blame and feeling like it's your fault, because it is not your fault. In a situation that takes over your brain like this, it's kind of evolutionary, so just cut yourself some slack and realize that, number one, you're not the only person going through this, and number two, it's totally normal. Alright, so tip number 2, I know you're thinking, okay great, it's totally normal, but I still don't want to do it and I still feel like crap when I do it. That's where the disordered eating tendencies come in. You're feeling guilty, you're feeling shameful. So it's important for point number 2 to understand why you're feeling guilty and shameful in the first place. And I was listening to a podcast the other day that brought up a really good point about happiness and what the definition of happiness is. And it's pretty much when your expectations are not met. So no matter how realistic or unrealistic your expectations are, if they're not met, you're not going to be happy. So in the situation of binging, a lot of us, especially women, come from the mentality of perfectionism. We want to be perfect on our diets. We have these great ambitions to eat only clean whole foods and unprocessed, and we're just going to be glorious and fabulous and all these things. And then the second we don't live up to that, what do you think is going to happen? The guilt and the shame and the ridicule and all these negative self-talk patterns just come into your body and your mind, and you just feel like crap, and then that goes into the next day, and it feeds into the next day, and it just like feeds your life. So not placing those super hard expectations on yourself, or the expectation that you're going to be perfect at your diet, or even perfect as you move forward when you try to stop binging. It's unrealistic to think that if you're binging 3-4 nights a week right now, it's unrealistic to think that next week you're not going to binge at all. You know, it's going to get less and less as long as you continue to work on it. But just remember that don't place so many hard expectations on yourself. Like I said in tip number 1, cut yourself some slack. There's no need to be perfect in a diet. What does that even mean? It means so many different things to so many different people. So getting to a place where you can genuinely accept where you are in your body, in your life, is the ultimate goal. And that brings me to point number 3, which is my final point for this video. Life goes on. And I know that might sound incompassionate or kind of harsh, but sometimes we just need a little tough loving in order to get over it. So something that helped me break the binge mentality was realizing how selfish it was to spend all of my time, all of my days, all of my nights obsessed and consumed by the food that I was eating or not eating. Like, so if I was depriving, I wasn't eating, and if I was binging, I was eating too much. And then all I thought about all day long was food, and it was taking away from my relationships with my friends and family. It was taking away from my work, my creativity, the things that I wanted to accomplish in this world. It was just taking away from my true sense of self and who I wanted to be in this world. So I would challenge you to figure out who it is that you want to be. Like, what kind of person do you want to be when you wake up in the morning? How do you want to feel? What does your day look like? I challenge you to write down an ideal day for you. How do you feel about yourself? Are you with someone? What kind of job are you doing? Like, all these different factors play into the reasons that we binge, and I'll go into detail in another video about the reasons why we binge and how to kind of navigate that. But pretty much just realize that life goes on, and by spending so much time consumed with yourself and your food and your obsession and your binging and your restricting, you're doing yourself and the world a disservice, because you have special and unique gifts that the world needs, and you are not being best utilized by spending your time worrying about whether or not you ate too much or too little, or what you ate, how much you ate, when you ate, all these different things. I understand that it's hard, and I understand how difficult it can be when it feels like you're in this black hole and like the world just doesn't even exist outside of it. But I promise you, if you just start living in the moment and practicing that and enjoying your time with your friends and family and focusing on quality relationships with the people around you and connection, because a lot of times that's the reason we binge, is because we're craving connection. So if you just focus on those things and the contribution that you can make to the world, and not so much focused on yourself, then you can make a world of difference. Even that simple mindset shift in that way, focusing the attention away from you and putting your energy, pouring out your life and your gifts and your talents and your time to other people, making their lives better, I promise you and I guarantee you, you'll be one step closer to breaking the binge. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If there are any topics that you're struggling with when it comes to binge eating you want me to discuss, I'd be more than happy to. You can send me an email, julie@juliebooher.com, or you can comment down below. And as always, if you guys need anything or need somebody to talk to, you can sign up for a free consultation with me. It's a 15-minute phone call. Just go to juliebooher.com/free-consult. We can talk about nutrition coaching, any of that. We can just talk about binge eating or whatever struggles you're going through. Like I said, I want to be there for you as much as I totally can and give you a community of people to help you realize you're not alone through this. So I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.